There's breaking news. This is one of these Friday dumps. But we don't let it get past us here. There's other things that I want to talk about, but we're going to address this because they tried to throw a knuckleball, and we're going to hit it out of the park. This is the headline from the Washington Times. The IRS says it lost key Lois Lerner emails. Agency blames 2011 hard drive crash for data loss. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, having known a little bit about this, when Landmark Legal Foundation, the legal foundation I work with, sued the Environmental Protection Agency about a decade ago, they pulled the same stunt. And I hope these members of Congress are listening. Now, we got a court order to get forensic experts in there to take a look. The FBI has forensic experts to try and reverse the damage that's done to data. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Congress needs to secure those hard drives before they go missing. And enlist a patriotic agent from the FBI and have this hard drive examined very, very carefully to see if the information can in fact be pulled from it. Here's the story. The IRS has told Congress it has lost some of former employee Lois Lerner's emails, including some covering communications with Democrats in Congress and with other parts of the government, the House top tax law writer said Friday. Representative David Camp, chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, said he was stunned that it took more than a year into the investigation for the IRS to inform Congress that it didn't have the emails. Folks, this is what I'm talking about. This David Camp may be the best-intentioned man on the face of the earth. But he's not a former prosecutor, to the best of my knowledge. He's not a former investigator, to the best of my knowledge. And this is basic stuff. So when John Boehner still refuses to appoint a select committee with people who know how to conduct investigations, have conducted criminal investigations, as a matter of fact, then I knew we would have these problems. I didn't know it would be this particular problem, but it's basic stuff to secure evidence, to secure data, to prevent what's called spoliation. This is basic stuff. And Congress has far more power than I did at my little legal foundation, or anybody else for that matter. So all of a sudden, here we are, Friday evening, in Washington, D.C., they tell us that the IRS has told them that they've lost a bunch of Lois Lerner's emails because the hard drive crashed. And I don't even know what that means. You've heard me on this program advertise carbonite to back up your system and protect it. I don't believe this for a second. Oh, I believe something's wrong with the hard drive, but I don't think it was just a crash. And by the way, can you imagine telling the IRS on tax day, look, my computer crashed, I don't have the data. Do you think they'd give you an inch? Do you think they'd give you 5 more hours? The IRS, which is now going to oversee enforcement of our healthcare system? The agency blamed a computer crash for the mishap. The fact that I'm just learning about this 1 year into the investigation is completely unacceptable and now calls into question the credibility of the IRS's response to congressional inquiries. This is the chairman, Camp, of the Ways and Means Committee. There needs to be an immediate investigation and forensic audit, there you go, by Department of Justice as well as the Inspector General. Or, I might add, you can bring out an independent party from the private sector to conduct the forensic audit. But it is infuriating to me that they didn't get these databases secured early on. It is infuriating to me. That is basic. Ms. Lerner ran the division that gave unwarranted scrutiny into Tea Party groups, as you well know. She's been held in contempt. In emails that were turned over to Congress, Lerner described some of the files lost in the 2011 hard drive crash as irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. Mr. Camp said the emails lost were critical years from the beginning of the targeting of conservative groups. Well, of course they are. If you're going to obstruct an investigation, you're going to destroy this stuff, because to the best of our knowledge, there's not a real criminal investigation going on yet, just a congressional committee fumbling around. You're going to destroy the good stuff. See, there's no court order, as an example. No, there's nothing. Now, he said, Camp, the White House must now get involved. And I mean, this is just fairy tales. The White House must now get involved. Does he know where Obama is? Obama took off early today to do a phony visit at an Native American tribe. Are we allowed to say Indian tribe? Man, I'm so confused with the damn language anymore. Everybody's offended. Then a fundraiser, and then off to the links. So, frankly, these are the critical years of the targeting of conservative groups that can explain who knew what when and what, if any, coordination there was between agencies, Camp said. Now, those who say Watergate was the worst scandal ever, how stupid do they think we are with this one? Oh, the hard drive crashed. Oh, the dog ate my homework. Oh, the missing 17 minutes on the tape or whatever. Oh. And let's see how these Sunday news programs really aggressively dig into this. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Previous emails did show Lerner had communicated with the Federal Election Commission about the tax status of some applicants. In a letter Friday, IRS Commissioner John Koskinen, what is it? Koskinen. Koskinen? Whatever. House Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa, who's issued a subpoena seeking IRS documents, said more than 1 million potentially responsive documents have yet to be produced. At this rate, the IRS's response to the committee's subpoena will drag on for years, Issa said. I listen to these chairmen and I say to myself, are you the chairman? You're the chairman who hold on to power desperately? You don't want these select committees? Remember how long it took to get a Benghazi select committee because Issa and McEwen and Mike Rogers didn't want one? And these chairmen don't want one for the IRS? Or you can get real prosecutors, people with real experience, real investigators to get on this stuff so spoliation and other things of this sort don't occur? What a bunch of jerks up there. Don't they know how the hell to conduct an investigation? You're up against a crime syndicate now. Don't you get it? Wherever you look, turn around. It's everywhere. Sit here and whine like a bunch of stuck pigs. Oh, they didn't give us what we... Go get it. You subpoena something, they won't give it to you? Then go through the court system. Challenge them on separation of powers. Oh, they won't give us the documents. Oh, the hard drive crashed. Oh, what are we going to do? So, Issa gave the head of the IRS until Wednesday to produce all the documents still being withheld and said if they aren't turned over, his committee will look at ways to enforce the subpoena. Hey, genius, I'm telling you how to enforce the subpoena. The IRS says it will eventually produce more than 67,000 Lerner emails. Yes, Obama will be long gone, and Hillary, they hope, will be elected, God forbid. Everything will move along. Then all of a sudden, and you remember that email from, the Cincinnati? Oh, yeah. And I'm sure the media will be all over it. According to the agency, employees such as Ms. Lerner have some of the active emails stored on the IRS centralized network, and the hard drive, of course, crashed. And then they tell us, 250 employees have worked on this. They've cost nearly $10 million. Oh, wow. a government that spends $4 trillion, that pisses money away left and right. Oh, they spend more than $10 million. And why, by the way? Is it that hard to pull up emails? $10 million? Is this the same crowd that put together the Obamacare website? Regardless of how the big media report on this, regardless of how many commenters talk about this is serious. That the tax collecting agency has been so thoroughly corrupted and politicized and now is involved in obstruction and a cover-up. And the impotent chairman of Republican committees there, we've been asking for this. We want everything by Wednesday, or we'll have to review how we handle our subpoena, and, we're going to have to... Good God, man! Don't you have any self-respect? Who would have thought that emails would disappear, ladies and gentlemen? Who would have thought that the hard drive would have crashed, ladies and gentlemen? Who would have thought that the IRS was involved in cover-up mode to cover its ass? Gee, you had to be a genius to know that? Look who runs this government, Barack Obama. Lies through his teeth about everything. It was never going to be easy. And Johnny Boehner, no select committee on the IRS. He's already blown it. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of this now. We'll get information here and there because of legal groups, but we're not going to get to the bottom of it. No wonder we love these incumbents. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I want these congressmen and women on Capitol Hill to listen to me. I have litigation experience in this area. I want you to pay attention. Not only do you need to do a forensic review by an incredibly competent individual of this hard drive or these hard drives, you need to see if there's any backup tapes, any backup system like clouds. You need to determine who else she may have emailed to, because those emails go to other servers and are on other hard drives. Now, obviously, it's not as comprehensive, but you can still potentially get some useful information. So there are other network hard drives out there. There are other servers out there, server systems out there. There's often backup tapes out there. Also, if you haven't yet, you should get a hold of all of her mobile phones for texting to see what texting has taken place. Also, work it the other way. She was trying to gin up criminal investigations because she was being pushed to do it by Democrats in Congress, particularly Carl Levin, among others. The public integrity section of the Justice Department. We know the individual she was working over. We know she sent $1 million or whatever it was, documents over to them. What about their hard drives? What about their servers? Go get them. Get them now, damn it, before it's too late. Work the chain from top to bottom now. Find out who else she would have revealed information to, she would have emailed to, she would have texted. Don't get me wrong, this is a huge setback, but don't surrender, damn it. Get on with it. And set up that select committee. I said in the last segment, I think it's too late. I do think it's too late, but that doesn't mean anything. Keep digging. These feckless, that word, forget it. These screw-ups who are these chairmen of these committees. They want to put out statements. They want to be on TV. They want to talk about it. They're not effective. They're not. You pick the most hard-ass former prosecutors you have in Congress. But the problem is John Boehner, they have to be loyal to him or he's not going to pick them. Yeah, what a bunch of stooges. I'm serious. What a bunch of buffoons. Oh, and it gets worse. Lois Lerner's lost emails. So my buddy Andy McCarthy asks a question. The IRS, like other government agencies, he says, don't they have lots of reasons to maintain emails? So I'm curious about whether they'll be similarly informing courts and Congress and litigants and FOIA petitioners and other people and bodies they must periodically make disclosures and reports to that they've lost nearly 2 years' worth of agency communications. Or was that just one of those highly, highly unusual computer crashes that affects only the email account of Lois Lerner and any executive branch official with whom she has happened to exchange messages? So all of you who have dealings with the Internal Revenue Service on your own taxes, or you're litigating with them, all of you who have to deal with the Internal Revenue Service now when it comes to health care, I feel you have a right to ask, any hard drives crash? And if so, what are you supposed to do about this? In other words, when you're seeking information or evidence or what have you, you're going to want to know if their hard drives are okay so you can get the information. What is the extent of this 2-year hard drive loss of data? Is it one hard drive? Is it 50 hard drives? Is it one person's account? Here it is Friday evening. This is what they do. But I'm like a Doberman. I will not let it go. And we will stay on top of this. Because all of us are affected by the IRS. And it's politicized and it's corrupt. And what's the answer? The ultimate answer? The ultimate answer to me is the flat tax. If we can get the fair tax, I'm all for it. I think it's politically more difficult. I don't mean to upset my buddy Neil Bortz and my buddy John Linder, and I'm not against it. But whichever it is, we need to cut down this agency by 90%. That's the ultimate answer to the Internal Revenue Service. But I was saying, you got these chairmen who are as close to useless without being perfectly useless as possible. Whining, hey, they didn't give us this, now we're considering. Just pathetic. I've got a lot of calls in here. People who are experts on IT, on this whole area of hard drives and protecting material, and they are not buying this line that the hard drive, Lois Lerner's or somebody's crashed, and we've lost 2 years of Lois Lerner's emails. They ain't buying it. And I'm not either. I want you to hear from some of these people, okay? Let's start with Pat in Philadelphia, the great WNTP. Are you buying this, Pat?
Not for a minute, Mark. How are you, my brother? Fighting the good fight?
All right. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. When you send an email to a government server, everything is mirrored. So even if the hard drive crashes, the mirror takes over, a geek comes along and just pulls out the old bad hard drive, puts in a new one, and nobody loses anything. Depending on what the federal government does, every 4 hours, every 8 hours, or 12 hours, whatever, they'll have a data dump to a master server where it's compartmentalized and archived. So you would need someone with administrative access in multiple departments to go track all this down, knows where it's at, and then delete it. Now, you might get a hiccup for 1 day and maybe a partial email, but for 2 years, that's fraud.
Mm-hmm. So there's no main database system that if it crashes, you're going to lose 2 years' worth of... And by the way, the 2 years' worth of the 2 years' worth the investigators want to see.
Right. That's not probable, unless we got attacked by an EMP, and I was unaware of that.
And an EMP, for people who don't know, could come from a nuclear attack. It could come from a sunburst, which would wipe out our electrical system. But we'd all feel that, not just one computer.
Everyone would have got that, right. So, it's not happening, Mark. It's a total fiction. And if they were using third-party servers like Comcast or Verizon or whatever, they'll have it too. They were using Gmail, Google Mail, to do government work on there, and I'm pretty sure they have some of that too. So that's it, my brother.
Pat, very, very fine. I appreciate that. Let's hear some more experts. Let us go to Derek, Kansas City, Missouri, the great KCMO. Go.
Mark, it's an honor to talk to you. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Thank you.
I work in one of the largest law firms here in the city. I don't want to say which one because...
All right.
My responsibility is to initiate collection of email for discovery, okay? That's what we do day in, day out. And to think that the federal government could lose 2 years' worth of email is almost an impossibility. The redundancies that are in place nowadays with any corporation, even mom-and-pop businesses, don't allow for this kind of thing to happen. I mean, if a server goes down, you have 2 or 3 others that are right there to pick up any slack. And the way the federal government spends money, are we supposed to believe this is a Montgomery Ward server in a closet somewhere? I mean, it doesn't add up. I'm sure they have the best, probably the best in the world, I would imagine, as far as retention and redundancy goes.
And they don't even need the best in the world, do they?
No, absolutely not. Mom and pop do it all the time. You just don't hear about companies losing email like this anymore. It used to be that way, but it's not that way anymore. Technology is just superior. So the fact that it's so obvious, they're doing it right in front of everyone's face. I mean, you can tell that this is a cover-up and it's deliberate. You can't lose email like that without intention, It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm shocked. And if more people aren't outraged, then they damn well...
Well, Derek, I was listening attentively to what I hear in my ears is the ABC Radio Network News at the top of the hour. This didn't even get a mention. It wasn't even mentioned by the National Radio News. Not even mentioned. This is what I mean. I call these people the Praetorian Guard media, and that's exactly what they are. This is a massive scandal. Now we have an additional cover-up aspect to it, and they act like it's no big damn deal. If we're Richard Nixon, we've been hearing about it for the next 25 days.
It's disgusting, quite frankly, Mark, and sometimes, you just wonder where is everyone's head at? What are we thinking, I don't know. I guess maybe some people would want to be in the dark and want to be led, but it's flagrant. There's no way this can happen.
All right, Derek, thank you. Let's go to Tamara, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go right ahead.
Hey, good Texas evening to you, Mark.
God bless you, my friend. And a happy Virginia evening back to you.
Hey, thank you. I just came from Virginia yesterday, so I will accept that. Hey, my husband is one of the co-founders of the world's first computer forensic software. And I spent many years doing public relations for them and learning about that software. And here is the caveat. Here's the hat tip to Daryl Issa. Thanks to Sarbanes-Oxley, this absolutely cannot happen, first of all. And if it does, here we go. Check another box for the Obama administration, breaking the laws of Sarbanes-Oxley. And
I don't know that Sarbanes-Oxley applies to the government. Remember, they always exempt themselves.
Well, there you go. But the fact of the matter is the government, the United States government, has this NK software in their systems to ensure this doesn't happen. And they can use it. They can detect every single keystroke that has ever been made on your computer, and it's all recoverable. And the gentleman, the last caller, is exactly right. That somebody high up with core access would have to physically and manually scrub the data, and then, unless the drive was severely damaged, even then, the data is recoverable.
All right, Tamara, thank you for your call. Let's go to Eric. He doesn't wish to identify where he works, but it's a very, very significant position. In Maryland, the great WMAL, how are you, sir?
How you doing, Mark? What they're selling is a bunch of BS. And here is why. I ran an email system for one of the government agencies. I was one of the administrators. We had over 60 servers for email. And those servers, just like the other caller said, the drives are mirrored. So if we lose a physical drive, it's hot swappable. We could switch over to the other drive and the user would never know. Now, here's the part that doesn't wash. Every day you have a backup. And that is called an incremental backup. So when a file changes, it hits that incremental backup tape. Every week, you pull a gold backup. That gold backup goes off-site to a place like Iron Mountain, where basically it's EMP-proof and disaster-proof. So if we lose the building due to an attack like what happened in Oklahoma, you can go back to those tapes, and you might be maybe a week old. So basically, and they're kept in increments, so then you have one for a month, then one for a quarter. So if you lose a whole series of data, you'll still be able to go back at least within a month or a quarter.
So you're never going to lose 2 years' worth, are you?
No, that's impossible. It is impossible. If that's the case, why didn't we hear about that when that happened to the Murrow building in Oklahoma City, when they blew the building up? We didn't, because it's basically built into the system, and this goes back to the Cold War when we were afraid of nuclear attack. That's the reason why these systems were put in place. So then there's no way the IRS should get away with this if these committee chairmen are halfway informed about anything. If they're halfway informed about it, or basically get someone to advise them to how the system and the everything to keep this from happening. So right now they're selling them a bunch of stuff, and hopefully people are listening to this, they do not buy it, because it cannot happen unless someone physically goes in and literally, this is the equivalent of the missing minutes in the Watergate tapes.
I was saying that too, exactly right. And isn't it amazing how little attention it's drawing tonight other than by me?
And I write for Breitbart. I'm going to write something about this.
Good.
Just because of that, because I'm just hearing about this now because I just came out of another TV studio and something else, and I'm floored over this, and this is basically getting traction. This can't get traction. This is the...
Well, what's your full name? Have you write for Breitbart? Are we allowed to know?
Eric Carey, C-A-R-Y.
Very good. All right, Eric, go get him. All right, my friend. We're getting experts on this pouring through the phone lines who are saying there are there's no way the IRS, a hard drive could crash and there's not a backup system. In fact, multiple backup systems. No way. Now, I can't vouch for this. I'm absolutely illiterate on this subject, so I'm learning it as many of you folks are. I'm just listening to this. But we're going to listen to a little bit more of it, too, because I want to hear more. We're going to try and get to the bottom of this. Tom, Alexandria, the great WMAL. Go.
Yeah, just wanted to back up what your previous caller had said. Having been in the government a long time, there's backup to backup to backup. There is no, it's kind of funny how that anytime the government wants something to track down an underling, some low-level person, they can find it, whether going after a leaker or whatever, they can always find their man or their woman there. But all of a sudden, with the leadership, it's just case after case. Sorry. Now, this couldn't be done unless it was done purposefully, which means there was a crime committed. But then again, this is so typical. We've been watching for years. It's off that subject, but I can tell you, at all levels of government, this is going on. I remember in the Columbine incident, lawsuits brought by families against the sheriff's department for their utter incompetency. And I just happened to be on duty over there in Denver, and I was surprised to read it in the Denver Post, that right on the front page, back around 2004, that, documents that were being requested, demanded by the suing families, that just happened to get shredded accidentally, and the whole case was dropped in court. That was not accident. It was shredded up. But you see how this happens? And the problem is the voters allow the people who presided over this to go right back into office. Instead of cleaning house when it happens, they just shrug their shoulders and re-elect them again. It's a voter's fault. Unfortunately, people like you and me and others who realize that this is not acceptable, we're stuck because of the lazy masses that allow it to continue.
All right, my friend. But our buddy Andy McCarthy had a point, a very important point, National Review Online, and that point is, all you folks who are dealing with the IRS, some of you are litigating against the IRS, well, now how can you be sure that the IRS is producing all the information that they're required to produce during discovery? That hard drive, or those hard drives that crashed, may have had information on them that you needed. You see, make sure, talking as a litigator, make sure your lawyers, if they go into court, they say to the court, now wait a minute, we need to know which hard drives crashed. And we need some representation. That information that were on those hard drives or that hard drive wasn't information that belonged to my client, that my client has to have. You see, the proof shifts to them. The word is spoliation. Repeat after me. Spoliation. I'll be right back.
This is Radio Free America on the Mark Levin Show. Call now, 877-381-3811.
The IRS announced just before 5 p.m. Eastern Time that, well, we had a hard drive crash, or hard drives crashed, and Lois Lerner's emails during that crucial 2-year period, 2009 to 2011, are gone. We're very sorry. We worked very hard. We've done everything we can, but they're gone. Now, by chance, if we should somehow recover them, it'll take years. Yes, it'll take years. And this hasn't even attracted interest in any of the national news media. So I'll stay on it. And I don't believe this for 2 seconds. I don't believe anything innocent happened. No way. A couple more calls on this in terms of experts. Then I want to move on and we can link all these things together. Let us go to Richard Paris, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
Yeah, I worked at a computer company in Vegas, and we did a lot of stuff with the EPA. They bring in their hard drives when they crash. We would take them out and send them to a company called OnTrack in California. I don't know if they're still in business or not.
OnTrack?
OnTrack is what it was called. And they would go in and physically get the data off the plates inside the hard drive. They would take the hard drive apart into a clean room and recover the data. This is
by the way, you know the FBI does this stuff too.
Yeah, well, what about all the child, pedophiles and stuff when they have child porn on their computer?
But even the financial crimes and so forth and so on, they don't just my hard drive crashed, what was me? And they say, okay, turn it over.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
they do the forensic work and do whatever the technology requires to try and go back through it and pull the information out. But you also hear other callers telling us that there are multiple backup systems in these government computer systems as well as in the private sector. And they should be in other places.
Yeah, just like a RAID system or the mirror system that they're talking about. You pull one hard drive out, it creates the data from the other 2 or 3 drives or 5 drives or however many you have.
And can I put it in plain English? It's like a tandem system. A tandem. So one moves to the next, one moves to the next, one picks up from the other. Correct?
Correct. This is so much. I mean, this is an amateur attempt at cover-up. This one won't work. I don't think it's going to work. There's too many of us out here that know how to do this.
Well, we're about to find out, aren't we, Richard?
Yeah, I agree with you. Take care.
God bless you, man. You too. Thank you. To a man and woman, people with expertise in this area, they're not buying this for 2 seconds. Couple more, then we need to move along. Juan, Orlando, Florida, the great WDBO country. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Same to you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one thing. Even though we were still in 1990 and the government was using Commodore computers, the people that she sent the emails to, They will still have them on the servers on the buildings that those people receive the emails. Now,
all right, Juan, wait there. Hold on, I'm going to let you go. That's a very, very important point. So if the IRS says, look, we have this antiquated technology, and so you're saying, wait a minute, whomever you've sent that to doesn't have antiquated technology.
Exactly. Now, the people on the states that they file the complaints, they can actually come back and look on those states specifically. Now, the government have two ways of following information. One is the MAC address of the computer, which is unique to each computer, or the username or the IP address, which is the regular IP address of the government, and it can be sorted out with the right computer, a Unix computer. It can be sorted out and it can be filtered, and all will come up.
All right, my friend, believe me, this is way over my head, but I'm following this as a matter of logic. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate it. Seems to me if Congress wants to get to the bottom of this, Congress can, but they better get their hands on this hard drive or those hard drives as fast as possible, because there are ways to destroy these hard drives. Now, that said, you've heard them talk about the mirror technology. I've explained it as a tandem technology. If one server crashes or hard drive, it moves on to the next one and it moves on to the next one. You may lose some data, but you ain't going to lose 2 years' worth of data. Furthermore, the IRS would have known about this before today. The IRS would have known it had a problem before today. It doesn't just go poof automatically on Friday afternoon. No, that's right.